Yes, the Castlenovians. Yes, the Castlenovians. All right, brother, hope you're well. So what we're going to do in this one is I'm going to walk you through how I removed my limiting beliefs to make approaching women easy. And understand the lessons that I'm going to share in this video in regards to removing your limiting beliefs. This extrapolates way beyond dating. These same principles can be applied to building your physique. It can be applied to building your business, making stronger social connections. Because I think we can all agree that we would live a more productive, healthy, fulfilling life if we weren't constantly negotiating with fear. Because you probably feel this right now. You probably feel as though you've got so much untapped potential. You probably feel as though you're living beneath what you know you're capable of living. And, I should do a little introduction to begin with. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name's Christian, and I help dateable men remove their social blocks so they can stop feeling like closet heterosexuals. Because this is what I found to be true in the 6 years I've been in this space, helping over 200 guys remove their social blocks, remove their social frustrations, no longer feeling like closet heterosexuals. Success with women isn't about what you add, it's about what you remove. In the same way that when Michelangelo was asked how he sculpted the statue of David, he responded, I removed everything that wasn't David. So this is going to be one of the most valuable videos I've ever created. I'm so excited. I've got some notes down here because I just want to give you as much as possible because I understand this is at the core of everything you're going to do, especially when it comes to women. And if you clicked on this, you probably have limiting beliefs that are holding you back right now. Maybe you're telling yourself the story, I can't approach women because I'm too short, because I'm too old, because of my hairline, because of my upbringing, because I'm an introvert, because I didn't get the love and the protection that I needed as a child. And I completely understand all of this because when I first started Daytime Cold Approach in 2020, I had more limiting beliefs than I knew what to do with. I was addicted to porn. I had erectile dysfunction. Every time I got a woman back to my place, my dick didn't work. And it became this self-fulfilling prophecy where I got so up in my head, I'd be on dates with women, I would be experiencing failure in advance whilst I'm on the date because I presented myself as this cool and calm and confident guy on the streets. Got back to my place, my dick didn't work, quintessential Mr. Softy. She leaves, check my WhatsApp 2 hours later, I've been blocked. And that was a spiritually and sexually frustrating period for me because I had all of this potential. I knew I had the potential to do great things, but it felt as though reality hadn't caught up with the man who I believed myself to be. And I've been insecure about everything. I used to be insecure about my pelican nose, my crooked teeth, my wrinkly forehead. I used to be insecure about the size of my penis because when I was addicted to porn, I was comparing my schlong to these gargantuan schlongs online. Because my parents got divorced when I was 5 years old and I grew up as an only child in the Lake District on a council estate in a deprived area of the north of England. Growing up, it was just me and my mum, and I learned social skills accidentally. I learned if I said the wrong thing at the wrong time with the wrong intonation, I would inflict the mental wrath of my mum because my mum's got mental health problems, she's got insomnia, had a fucked up childhood, and I learned from a young age that women didn't feel safe. I always had these people-pleasing tendencies. I was scared of not receiving love and validation from women. And when I'm working with my guys one-on-one, what I realize now, the majority of my work with my clients is on this inner game, is helping them rewire their entire internal belief system so they can present themselves to the world as they actually are without wearing a mask, without feeling as though they need to put on an act, without seeing every approach as a make or break situation. Because this is the thing that pisses me off the most when it comes to Daytime Cold Approach, the guys that teach the skill. Everybody focuses on tactics and techniques. Everybody's focused on, oh, here's what to say. Here's how you say it. You need to stand this way. You need to dress like this. You need to posture like you've got imaginary lats or a barrel between your legs like fucking John Wayne. And what I found to be true with all of the dateable, career-driven, analytical guys who I've worked with is it's not about what you say. It's not about how you say it. It's who you perceive yourself to be when you say it. Perception is reality. Even if it's not true, we make it true by believing in it. So let's just go balls deep into how I've been able to remove my limiting beliefs and how you can do the same. And by the way, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a present, or as we say in the north of England, a prezi. I've got a prezi for you at the end of this video. It's something that you will have never seen before, but it's a continuation of everything we're speaking about in this video. So yeah, let's go. So first things first. The first thing, when I was living in this grotty apartment in central Leeds, when I was broke as a joke, I was working a dead-end job for minimum wage, I was going through my Mr. Softy phase, I was low on confidence, I didn't feel as though I was lovable, I just felt fundamentally flawed. All I had back then in 2020 was delusional optimism and irrational confidence. Now, I'm not going to go into the deep, dark depths of, law of attraction, right? A lot of people are like, oh, law of attraction, bro, that's so woo-woo. And for me, it's fucking not. All it is the law of action. Think about it. You wouldn't get on an aeroplane not knowing where you're going. Why? Because the destination determines the direction. The fucked up thing is, so many guys today are living like accidents. They're going out there to approach women, but they've got no crystal clear clarity on who it is that they want to become. So the first step that I took to remove my limiting beliefs was getting clear on the man who I wanted to become. Yeah? And this is why I say to all my clients, everything you need is already there. If you're watching my content, if you fuck with my philosophies, you already understand on a logical level, you are dateable, you're in shape, you've got money, you dress well, you've got value to provide a woman, right? The problem is, who you are, the real you, is blocked. He's blocked by conditioning, fear, sedation, compliance. He's blocked by closet heterosexuality. And you'll feel this when you're in a conversation with a woman and maybe you hold yourself back. Maybe you don't say what it is that you really want to say. Maybe you filter yourself. Maybe you've got a dark sense of humor, but you don't bring it out in cold approach conversation because you're scared of losing. Yeah, you're scared of losing value, or you're worried if you're going to be perceived in a negative way. Remember, the whole point with this dating game is to filter for your fuck yeses. You're not going out there to be everything to everyone. You're going out there to filter and be the right somebody for the right somebodies. In the same way that when I make this content, I polarize. Yeah, I speak my truth. I lead with radical, lethal, penetrative authenticity. The guys who fucking love me become clients. The guys who fucking hate me, they piss off. Yeah, this is the way you want to live your life. It's not being universally liked. It's not being universally attractive. It's rejecting your need for guarantee, showing up in the world with the mentality, this is me, take it or leave it. But first of all, you need to know who it is that you want to be. So I began creating what I now call a personal renaissance document. So this is the very first exercise that I get every single one of my online one-on-one coaching clients to do. The personal renaissance document. What you're going to do is you're going to get a pen and paper and you're going to write about yourself in the third person as if it's already happened. And you're going to refer to yourself as though somebody else is saying it, okay? So in plain fucking English, what my personal renaissance looked like back in 2020, I would write about myself things such as, Christian is the most fuckable man on the planet. Christian is building $1 billion personal brand. Christian is the best in the world at daytime cold approach. Christian is the best to have ever done it. Entrepreneurs, business owners, visionary creatives from all over the world are desperate to do business with Christian. And when you're saying these affirmations, you say them with feeling. Yeah, you say them as if they've already happened and it's somebody else, almost like a friend of yours who is flabbergasted by what you've been able to achieve. And this is why a lot of people will say you need to say affirmations in the first person, such as I am. For me, I don't think that's as effective as writing about yourself in the third person as though somebody else is saying it. Because for me, writing about yourself in this way allows the affirmation to carry greater emotional weight. So what I did is I created a personal renaissance document. I wrote down everything, all of the characteristics that I wanted to embody. and I read it to myself every morning when I woke up and every night before I went to sleep. It's crucial that you read it to yourself first thing in the morning, because when you first wake up in the morning, you are in what is known as theta state, and this is when your mind is more susceptible to being programmed. What do most people do when they wake up in the morning? They roll over in bed, they doom scroll, they get bombarded with airbrushed images, filtered facades, negative influences, and they wonder why they've got approach anxiety. They wonder why their relationships are not where they want it to be. They wonder why they don't have the business, the physique, the discipline. It's because they're programming poison into their minds first thing. So rather than rolling out of bed and doing what I used to do, which was get my phone, scroll some porn, whack myself off into a sock and go to work, get the personal renaissance document, get it as a piece of paper by your bed, and then you can program yourself in the morning and also before you fall asleep at night. That theta state is crucial. But the whole point of doing this is you want to have clarity on who it is that you want to become. And then what you do, once you've got your document and you can imagine that version of yourself, you act as if you already are that version of you. And this is when daytime cold approach becomes this metaphysical, spiritual, freedom from bullshit activity. Because a lot of people in the, let's call it the manifestation space, they put a lot of emphasis on thinking. Yeah, sitting on your kitchen floor, lotus flower position, singing Kumbaya and manifesting millions. I'm like, no, it's not the law of attraction, it's the law of action. And here's why daytime approach is so crucial for this process, and certainly why it was for me when it came to overcoming my limiting beliefs, is because every single cold approach that you do from this new identity, it's an opportunity to recreate your entire self, because the women who you approach, they've got no pre-existing social context on who you are. So when I approach women now, they don't see who I was in 2020. They don't see this low value, sniveling mess who looked like a turnip, dressed like a moron and had ED. They don't see that version of me. They see the version of me who I've sculpted in my image. Yeah, because the version of me who's talking to you today, Christian Casanova, he's a character. He's a character that I created. I created him in my mind, I put my ideas onto the page, and then I acted as if I already was this version of myself. So this is why daytime approach is so crucial, because you are liberating yourself through action, but you're also going through validation cycles. And this is so key. A lot of people will say to you, when you're approaching women, don't seek validation. Oh, don't seek approval. That's needy, bro. The thing is, when we're first starting daytime approach, we're operating typically from a deficit. We don't know what we don't know. We do want positive reference experiences. We want the girls to like us. We want to get points on the board. We don't want to get rejected 100 times in a row. So once you know who it is that you want to be, and now you're acting as if you already are that version of yourself, because this is how I'm living my life now. I live my life like I'm already a billionaire. I just don't have the money in my pocket yet. When I speak to camera and I expostulate my empire visions, when I say to you directly, I am building a $1 billion personal brand. I'm going all the way to the top. I'm taking my people with me. This is like coming across Bitcoin in 2008. A decade from now, everybody who's watching right now won't even be able to afford me. And that's not narcissism. That's not narcissism. That's fact. Yeah, because I've made it true by believing in it, and I've had the emotional bravery to declare these intentions to the universe, yeah, because the universe rewards action takers. The Roman poet Virgil said it best: blessings on your courage, boy, that's the way to the stars. But when you're learning daytime approach, you have to go through these evidence cycles. And what that means is, when you know who it is that you want to be this confident, charismatic, charming version of you who's free from bullshit and free from closet heterosexuality. When you're approaching women from this new identity, you do want them to validate you. You do want to get phone numbers, go on dates, have happy endings. You want feedback from the feminine. You want women to say things like, I really love the way that you approach me. You want to be lying in bed with a beautiful woman who you never even imagined yourself being with, and her saying, that was fucking incredible. That was one of the best nights of my life. Where have you been all my life? Because we're fragile creatures. I don't care what these manospheric red pill commentators say. Everybody wants to be wanted. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel as though our presence means something to somebody. And we want to be validated by the feminine. Yeah? And there's nothing wrong with that, because if you're going to create this new normal where the version of yourself is the version of yourself you had in your mind, it's like Drake said. Drake said it best. You know it's real when you are who you think you are. You know it's real when you are who you think you are. And for me, the only way I've been able to overcome my limiting beliefs truly is allowing the external world to reflect back the image of myself I always saw in my mind. Yeah? So when you're going out to approach from this new identity, you want positive reference experiences. It's almost like when you're going to the gym, right? And let's say historically, you've only ever been able to deadlift 80 kg, right? Let's say one day you've listened to some Christian Casanova motivational podcast and you're just feeling pumped up, mate. You're in godly frequency, you don't feel like a closet heterosexual anymore. Let's say you go to the gym and let's say you deadlift 100 kg, right? The first time you do that, it becomes your new normal. In the same way that the first time you're on a date with a woman who a former iteration of you convince yourself, oh no, I can't get her, she's out of my league. The first time it happens, that sets the new standard. I remember the first time somebody paid me £12,000 to work with me one-on-one, I was flabbergasted, yeah? Because when I first started coaching people in 2020, I was coaching people for free. Part of the reason I started coaching for free is I just wanted the coaching experience. People would pay for my train ticket and I would travel to their city. I would coach them for as long as they wanted me to coach them. And I just wanted to get points on the board. But here's the fucked up thing. The deeper reason, because there is, in regards to human action, there's the reason and there's the real reason. Yeah. So the surface level reason was I wanted experience. The real reason, which I didn't want to share with anybody back then, the real reason I was coaching for free was because I didn't believe I deserved money. Because growing up in the Lake District, we didn't have money. We could only afford the basics. Money was always this scarce entity. And I do see the feminine and finances as directly correlated, because I used to have a scarce relationship with money because I didn't have money. So I always saw money as something that was difficult to keep and even harder to make. And it was the same with women as well. I always saw women as something that was difficult to keep, hard to find. And this is why in my early relationships, I lost myself in relationships because I was scared of losing these relationships. My loyalty was based around scarcity. It wasn't a case of I wanted her, I just wanted someone. And this is what I see with the guys who I work with. Even though they are successful, even though they've got money in the bank, even though they've taken care of their fitness, their fashion, their finances, a lot of guys, they started out in life as in a deficit. And a lot of times when they're approaching women, it feels like their internal hasn't caught up with their external. It feels like they still perceive themselves as the ugly duckling on the inside. And this is why putting yourself through the social fire with Daytime Approach is so crucial, because you need to stack evidence, you need to stack XP that you can do the thing. But setting these new normals is so crucial. I call it the Bannister effect. You know Roger Bannister? He was the guy that broke the 4-minute mile. Well, before Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, nobody thought it was possible. But as soon as he did it, everybody started breaking it. And it's just the fucking awesome thing about beliefs, yeah? Just something that you believe to be true about the world. Like, what do you believe to be true about the world that isn't? Because oftentimes, it's the language that we're using that dictates the reality that we live. Plato said it best. He said, people who tell stories rule the world. So right now, if you're not getting the result with women that you want, if you're not getting the result with call approach that you want, sure, it could be your conversation skills. It could be the conviction you've got going into that conversation. It could be your ability to pull the trigger and extend the invitation to go on a date. But with all the guys who I've worked with now and all the experience that I've stacked over the years, all of these things are symptoms of a deeper problem, which is self-concept, which is self-perception. Because imagine right now, Imagine you had been brainwashed to believe that you were the most fuckable man on the planet. Imagine you had 100 women on speed dial who were desperate to go on a date with you. Imagine somebody just wired $30 million tax-free into your bank account. Imagine you get up your online banking, you do your face recognition, you wait 5 seconds for the page to load, and then you see 30 mil in your bank tax-free. Imagine how you would feel. Imagine how abundant, how non-needy, how generous that you would feel. Because here's an interesting concept. I don't believe we can be in love with another human being. I believe we are in love with their capacity to allow us to experience love. How do you make somebody else laugh? You make yourself laugh first. So one of the best tools that I found to remove my social limitations is through getting myself into the emotional state that I want from the external world. So what that means in plain fucking English is when you're going out there to approach, there's probably a part of you that craves love. You probably want to feel loved by a woman, right? So you want the emotion of love. So what I found to work best is before you go out to approach, you want to do something that puts you into a high frequency state. For me, I train martial arts 5 times a week. When I go to martial arts and I put myself through the fire of training, after the end of those 90 minutes, I have this deep, unconditional love for myself. I'm operating from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack. Now, I don't need anything from the external world anymore. This is godly frequency. This is the removal of doubt. And this is a sensation we're chasing every single day. Whether you do martial arts, whether you train like a savage at the gym, whether you play some musical instrument, you get yourself into a deep flow state. We're not seeking the external world. We're seeking ourselves. The kingdom of heaven is within. Yeah, the glory of God is in a being fully alive. And this is what we're searching for. Everything we do in life, we do it for the feeling that it gives us. Yeah, why do you want to be a billionaire, Christian? Yeah, I'm talking to myself now. Why do you want to be a billionaire? Why do you want to build a $1 billion personal brand? Because I want to feel recognition. Yeah, I want to feel worshipped. I want to feel as though I've achieved something that nobody else ever thought I could achieve. Yeah, I want to prove the whole fucking world wrong. I want to have this sensation of domination, of knowing that I achieved something that everybody else would never even contemplate doing. Yeah, it's the feelings. So what are the feelings you're looking to achieve? Maybe it's love, maybe it's completion, maybe it's recognition, maybe it's desire, whatever it is. Like, fair fucking game. There's no rules to this game of life. Nothing is even real. It's a perception that makes it real. So when you're going out there and you are approaching and you recognize that change can happen fast. If you're in a car accident, your life is never the same again. When you know who it is that you want to be and you're going through these evidence and validation cycles, because you'll experience this thing that I call identity lag, right? So it's not a case of you're going to write down your personal Renaissance document, wake up the next morning, and everything's going to be fixed. No, this takes time. It takes lots of evidence cycles. It means that you need to maintain your motivation, your momentum. It means that you need to not quit when things start to get difficult, because here's another reframe I need you to have. When you know who it is that you want to be and you declare it to the world, the universe will provide you with opportunities that may feel like obstacles, but they are opportunities that the universe has handed to you to become that version of you. It's all God operating in disguise. Nothing happens to you, everything happens for you. So the moment you say you want to have an abundant dating life, you'll walk out your house and you'll get flooded with approachable women, wife-worthy women who you could approach. Maybe the streets are super busy because you said to yourself, I want to be free from bullshit. I want to be free from closet heterosexuality. Or you're saying to yourself, Christian is free from bullshit. Christian is free from closet heterosexuality. Christian doesn't give a flying fuck what other people think of him. Your name is probably not Christian, so please feel free to substitute your name. But when you ask for things, the universe will hand you opportunities to receive these things. But most people see it as obstacles. They're not obstacles, they're opportunities, because that's what you ask for. Yeah. So you'll have this thing called identity lag, where it'll feel as though you're putting in effort. It will feel as though you know who it is that you truly are, but you're in this identity lag phase where you're waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. And that can be frustrating for guys because they think that, oh, manifestation, it should just work instantly. This is why I traditionally work with my clients for at least 12 months, because I take them through my 3-step process, which is revelation. First of all, find out what's holding you back. Liberation, act your way through it. And then integration, integrate this new identity into your everyday lifestyle. But here's a way you can fast track this entire process. So You know, earlier I was talking to you about Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile. Well, what happened there was people were able to borrow belief from Bannister, yeah? And this is the same thing with when guys work with me one-on-one. So they get access to my private coaching calendar. They can book in as many calls with me as they want. They can send over audio in-field recordings and I can give them individually tailored, personalized feedback on their conversations. But a big portion of what we're doing is rewiring their self-concept. So as well as working with me one-on-one, they also gain VIP access to my private network, The Entourage. This is a global network of like-minded Renaissance warriors, action takers, pirates, mavericks, renegades, guys who are building cool shit, entrepreneurs, business owners, visionary creatives. But the reason why I share this is because what happened when guys join the Entourage is they have their limiting belief dissolved through evidence. Yeah, so this is part of the reason why I share the content that I do, especially on my main channel, where I've documented my entire, not just day game process, but my entire life game process since I started. Because the whole thing for me is optimism in the absence of certainty. So you can borrow delusional optimism from my past, from who I used to be. Yeah, so you can literally go onto the oldest videos on my main channel. You can look at who I used to be, where I started from, using a fucking air purifier as a tripod. And you can see that. And it gives you evidence, because evidence has got the loudest voice. So what happens is guys think to themselves, fuck, he's done this. He started out in Leeds in the UK in 2020. I was making videos on YouTube for 7-8 months. Barely anybody was watching, barely getting any traction. The comments that I did get was, you're ugly, you sound gay, you're a 3 out of 10 at best. One guy compared me to Patrick from SpongeBob and Mr. Bean. So evidence does help the loudest voice. So when guys join the Entourage, let's say for example, you might have a limiting belief right now that you're too old to approach women. Oh, it's creepy, it's wrong, I can't do that. First of all, you need to see your age, not as a liability, but as an asset, right? So let's say you're insecure about your age. Well, I've got a client, Graham, who is, when we first started working together, he was 50 years old. The fucked up thing about Graham was he'd never had a serious relationship in his entire life. He was watching all of his friends settle down, start families. He had this deep existential fear. It was too late. And then within 7 days of working with me, he went back to his home city. He approached a woman who was half his age, so 25 years old. She became his girlfriend, and they're still together over 2 years later. So whenever guys come to me and they're like, Christian, I don't think I can do this because I'm too old. I'm like, motherfucker, Graham was 50 and now he's got a girlfriend half his age through daytime approach. Another one of our guys, Rentaro. Rentaro's story is so interesting because when Rentaro first reached out to me, his entire marriage had collapsed. So his ex-fiancée broke up with him before their wedding happened. He actually got broke up with on his birthday. And he was in this rock bottom moment where he didn't feel as though he was going to be able to find love again. He didn't feel as though he was going to be able to heal. He was in this traumatic experience. And then, as if by some act of divine providence, one day, one of my videos came up on his YouTube feed. And you know when you just have this sensation that something just feels right, something just feels aligned. So he was watching my content, he scheduled a call, he explained his situation, he explained that he'd come out of this difficult, harsh breakup. He just moved to Portugal as a Japanese guy in Portugal, and he felt completely out of his depth. And then the amazing thing was, within 2 weeks of us working together, he'd already been on 3 dates with 3 different women. And now, and this is the reason why I share this story, he had a 90-second conversation with a girl in Portugal. Conversation that he didn't even feel like was going to go anywhere. She is now his long-term girlfriend, right? She is now his long-term girlfriend. And a limiting belief Rentaro had as a Japanese guy was he didn't feel as though he would be able to get a Western girlfriend. Now he's done it. But when he shared that story in the group, other guys who thought, oh, I might not be able to get results because of my race, because of my ethnicity, because of my culture, my upbringing, other guys saw that story and they were like, fuck, what do I believe to be true about the world that isn't? And one of our guys, Freddie, he had this unlock where he was like, so you've got a girlfriend after a 90-second cold approach. So why am I trying to have these perfect conversations? Why am I trying to masquerade as this personification of perfection? You got a girlfriend in 90 seconds. That's completely broken my brain. Another one of my guys, Jazz, he was in his early 40s when he reached out to me. He just come out of a difficult divorce. He had a daughter in Brazil, and his situation was totally messy because Jazz, he wasn't short on looks, on status. Looking at Jazz, you'd think this guy's got no issue whatsoever with women. He'd been an actor in Hollywood. He'd been personal trainer to Mark Wahlberg. He'd been on these multi-camera sitcoms. And when he first reached out to me, he was like, brother, I've not had a problem with women per se in my life. I've never been short of high quality options. But I feel blocked right now. I'm feeling like a closet heterosexual. I want to cold approach women, but fuck me, I'm shit scared what people are going to think of me. I have this fear of public humiliation. Even though he'd been an actor, he had situational confidence in the same way that when I was a magician for a decade, take away my props, I felt like the ugly duckling all over again. So working with Jazz, he was in his 40s when we worked together. He then ended up getting himself a 19-year-old absolute smoke show Brazilian girlfriend through the association, through the rented belief, because he would see guys who were older than him dating younger women. Guys will join the entourage. They'll see guys like Rentaro, guys like Freddie, guys like Joseph, who is a bald 40-year-old man who's pulling absolute smoke shows. So then bang goes the belief of, oh, I can't do this because I'm bald. Joseph's also 5'7", 5'8". And so then it's like, oh, I can't do this because I'm short. The entourage has got every single case study that you need. Whatever your limiting beliefs are, we call it the entourage effect, and it is deadly how it actually works. What happens is guys sign up, they start working with me one-on-one, they get around the right people, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, and they become successful through osmosis. They install the banister effect. They see guys who they think to themselves, if he's been able to do this, where else am I holding myself back? And this is the final thing I want to say to you. In regards to removing your limiting beliefs, what you need to do is remove toxic influences, right? Because right now, you might be trying to build the Burj Khalifa on sand, on shaky foundations, right? Because whenever you're attempting to recreate yourself, you will get pushback. And it might be pushback from your so-called friends, or it might be toxic influences from... You might be watching too much of the news. You might be waking up in the morning, scrolling social media, comparing yourself to other guys who are further ahead than you. That depletes your spirit. Then maybe you're scrolling the news. You're listening to all of this nonsense from the propaganda. Maybe you're addicted to some form of naughty narcotic. For me, I always had a problem with alcohol. And I'm sober now for, it's almost been 2 months, which I'm really proud of. But what you want to do is you want to audit what is holding you back. Maybe you're addicted to porn. Maybe you drink too much. Maybe you smoke too much. Maybe you hang around with negative people. And maybe the people that you're spending time with at the moment, it's not necessarily that they're bad people. They're just no longer your people. Because people want to see you do well. They don't want to see you do better than them. It holds a mirror up to who they could have been. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You probably heard it before. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think that's slightly flawed. I think you're the average of the 5 people who you compare yourself to. That's why I think the internet is an incredible portal. When I was first starting out in this space, I didn't have any money to invest into coaching and mentorships and networks. I would just use videos like this. I would find a tribe of mentors, guys who I really fucked with, and I would consume their content every single day. I would brainwash myself with what they've achieved. Yeah, people will tell you, oh, comparison's the thief of joy. I think conscious comparison is an incredible accelerator of progress, because I think if you can see versions of yourself in somebody such as me, then it inspires you to do the same. It's like, well, if he's been able to do it, then I can do it as well. So I think you can use the internet as a portal. I think you can use conscious comparison as a springboard for growth. But I would have an audit of your life. It's not what you can add, it's what you can remove. So what is holding you back? Are you spending too much time on social media? Maybe you're watching a lot of fucking like slop. Maybe just doom scrolling, watching some fucking pandas dancing in the wind. So find out what is holding you back and start to remove this stuff. And for me, because I'm going 12 months sober now, I was at this stage where I'm like, alcohol is taken away more than it's given to me. If I'm putting this declaration out there into the world that I'm building a $1 billion personal brand, then alcohol's got no room in my life anymore. It depletes my desire to dominate the day. I don't like who I become when I'm drunk. And also, I like this. It feels like a Herculean task to go 12 months sober to prove to myself when I put an intention out there into the world, I will follow through on that. Because I've got accountability as well. Accountability from my clients, from my girlfriend, from my mum. I think having that level of non-negotiable accountability, that's what allows these limiting beliefs to truly dissolve. Because when you've got witness to your progress, it's impossible to fail. I think we have that healthy male competition as men. Nobody wants to be a pussy. Nobody wants to say to a group of like-minded guys, right boys, I'm gonna go out today, I'm gonna do 20 approaches. Nobody wants to be that guy who doesn't do it. And this is why it's not about confidence, it's about consequences. It's not about confidence, it's about evidence. Yeah, you know it's real when you are who you think you are. So this is how I've been able to remove my limiting beliefs. But I would say we've only just scratched the surface in this video, young Padawan. So I've just put a video on screen now, and it's a 10-hour free in-a-game mastery course. That gives you everything that you could possibly need to go balls deep in the process of rewiring your internal identity and destroying your limiting beliefs.